Welcome back, everyone, and a pleasant feast of Wintervale to you. Steamhawke here, and we are about to enter the fifth and final match between Puffin and ZenStyle in the 2016 America's Winter Championship, wherein the winner will go on to secure a spot in the Grand Finals. Thus far, we've seen ZenStyle with a fairly value-oriented playstyle, in which he favors efficient minion trades with his mid-range Druid and Tempo Mage decks, while stealing some pretty incredible victories with his Malygos Warlock. Puffin, who's fresh off his victory in last week's Innkeeper's Showdown tournament, has been crushing his opponents today, with an aggressive Zoolock and Oil Rogue deck, while still playing a fairly conservative Freeze Mage deck. Thus far, both players have won 2 victories against each other in this best of 5, which means it all comes down to this final match. It looks like we are ready to begin, so we will go ahead and jump into the game and show the players mulligans. Up top we have Puffin, who has a rather underwhelming starting hand with Antique Healbot and Sap, both of which are mid to late game reactionary cards, so he'll probably end up ditching both of those to try and get a stronger early game presence, which he will have with the addition of an SI7 agent and Blade Flurry. Down below we've got ZenStyle with Mana Worm, Arcane Missiles, Arcane Blast, and just tossed away a counterspell for yet another Mana Worm, giving him a really strong starting position. Puffin will be playing his Oil Rogue deck, which in this case is a combo-oriented deck that aims to very efficiently clear the enemy's board while chipping away at them a little bit at a time until you can just build up this huge burst and finish them off all at one go. Usually that'll happen around turn 7 or 8 or so. So the early game for Puffin is actually going to be fairly reactive and slowly paced, where all he's doing is trying to deal with whatever ZenStyle throws at him. ZenStyle, on the other hand, is going to be playing a Tempo Mage deck. The goal of a Tempo deck is to just play very value-oriented minions and spells every single turn, and just get this slow momentum rolling up where you put more and more pressure on your opponent until you can kind of snowball and eventually overwhelm them. We see this already starting to unfold, where he's got a Mana Worm, which will start growing bigger and bigger, and a Sorcerer's Apprentice, which reduces the cost of the spells in his hand. But in this case, Puffin's actually in a very strong spot to deal with this opening. He goes ahead and pops Preparation for a free combo Eviscerate, which kills the Mana Worm, and then still has 3 mana for his SI7 agent, which will completely clear the board and leave behind a solid 3/3 body. ZenStyle is about to do basically the same thing. He drops another Mana Worm, he does 2 damage with an Arcane Blast to the SI7 agent, and then he chooses to kill it with an Arcane Missiles, thus leaving behind another 3/3 body. In this case, if he really wanted to be safe, he could have coined out his hero power and done 1 damage to the SI7 agent to make sure it died, but since it was only at 1 health and it was the only thing on the board, the chances that one of the 3 missiles were hitting it were pretty dang good. And we see that this actually puts Puffin in kind of a difficult position. He's thrown away all of his early cheap cards, so he doesn't have a way of dealing with this 3/3 body. He doesn't have anything cheap to use Eviscerate with in order to get the combo damage, and he doesn't actually have any of his efficient early game removal, such as Backstab or Deadly Poison. So he ends up having to blow Tinker's Sharpsword Oil really early on in the match just to deal with this Mana Worm. And that's really rather unfortunate for him, as he has to forsake the combo effect, and that card is really a really big player in the burst damage that he does later on in the game. But he does what he has to do, and ZenStyle is actually kind of stalling out a bit here too. He throws down a mirror image, a mirror entity, but he's really lost a lot of his momentum and just kind of needs to slow the game down and build up into something else. He throws down his mirror entity and actually immediately gets a nice Sludge Belcher out of the deal, and draws an Archmage Antonidas, which is going to end up being his win condition. So this was actually a really big tempo play for ZenStyle, because Puffin dropped the Sludge Belcher. He ends up being able to completely clear Puffin's board again, and he's got this really nice defensive position with a total of 4 taunt minions to hide behind, which will be great because Archmage Antonidas can sneak on in there and start generating fireballs and sit behind this nice defensive wall, and maybe even get to swing for once. Usually Archmage Antonidas just dies as soon as he pops out, but he might actually get to do it. Here we've got an unstable portal, and he will play it. What's in the box? What is it? We get a Kel'Thuzad. Beautiful. Unfortunately, he only has 4 mana and can't quite afford it this turn, but this is an awesome pull from Unstable Portal. Kel'Thuzad at 5 mana is a beautiful 6/8 body, which is a huge board presence, and ZenStyle already has all of these really nice taunt minions sitting up there, so he can just drop Kel'Thuzad and continue recycling these taunts and completely shut Puffin down, because he'll just be going so slowly and not be able to chip away. And as we can see, ZenStyle's still sitting pretty at 30 health. He just draws into an Azure Drake, and he's got 2 choices now. He can either drop Kel'Thuzad and kind of do this slow roll and put a nice body on the field and hide behind his defenses, or he can play the Azure Drake, which he chooses to do, and start fishing for more spell cards to play with Archmage Antonidas and turn it into a nice big bursty finish. So he's going for a more aggressive style here, but he's kind of compromised his board position a little bit. If we look at what Puffin's holding on to, he's got both Sprint and Deadly Poison, and he can afford both of them this turn. So what's likely going to happen is he's able to play Sprint, which is just a really powerful rogue card. He'll draw a total of 4 cards, and that'll just fill his hand up with a lot of really potent answers to basically anything ZenStyle can do, while assembling combo pieces for his finisher. Looks like he gets a Dr. Boom, a Blade Flurry, a Backstab, and yet another Backstab. And since he can still afford Deadly Poison, he's going to be able to clear the board. He'll be able to kill 1 minion with Loatheb, 1 with his weapon, and then trade the Drakes, which means, once again, he's sitting in a very strong board position. He's got a nice fat 5/5 sitting there, and we do see his health is starting to creep into a little bit of a dangerous territory. At 19, you're not very safe against a Mage anymore, especially since we know Archmage Antonidas is in play. We've got a little bit of a Sprint Light going with Arcane Intellect. He draws a Flamewaker and a Piloted Shredder, and then chooses to go ahead and drop Kel'Thuzad. In this case, he's not going for the let's build up our defenses and slow roll this. He just wants a big fat minion in there to have some nice board presence and throw that weight around. Puffin's having none of that, though. He drops a Violet Teacher, he plays Sap, kicks KT to the curb, which is a really strong play in this case, as it boosts KT's cost back up to 8 mana, essentially making him a dead card, while throwing out a nice 1/1 token. And here we go. Archmage Antonidas has entered play. We've got the coin, that's 1 Fireball. He's gonna throw down Counterspell for a nice secret effect for a 2nd Fireball, and now he is really putting the squeeze on Puffin. This is so much pressure. He already knows that 1 Tinker Sharpsword Oil, as well as 1 Eviscerate has already been played, plus he's at 25 health, which is a ton, and he has a counterspell in place. So there's literally nothing Puffin can do to kill him, yet he is threatening lethal now, because he's got this really nice big minion in play, and 2 Fireballs, plus whatever else he's holding that Puffin doesn't know. So he's in a nice safe position, and Puffin has to kill the Archmage this turn or risk dying next turn. It looks like he's actually in a pretty solid spot to do this, though. He throws down a Bloodmage Thalnos, finds out that it's not Mirror Entity, and then follows up with Backstabs. The first one gets countered, second one puts 3 damage on, and he can either finish it off with an Eviscerate or, in this case, a Blade Flurry, which is really cool because that benefits from both the weapon damage from Deadly Poison and the spell damage from Bloodmage Thalmos, so it kind of double dips there. So this was actually a beautiful play by Puffin, completely turns the tables on ZenStyle from this really dangerous position, and just goes all out on him. Builds up this huge board, puts so much damage onto ZenStyle. If you look at that, 19 damage from 25 down to 6. And ZenStyle's like, ugh, crap, that didn't go quite as planned. We gotta salvage this. Throws down a Flamewaker, which is gonna let him clear the board. Fireball to 1 thing. Mirror Image, which is going to generate some more fire. He's got his Hero Power for another Firebolt. Bam! We've got Fireball, Firebolt, Firebolt. Nothing can stop me! Nothing can stop me! Nothing can stop me! Medivh is unstoppable! But it's too little too late, unfortunately. He had to blow his Fireball in order to board clear, and while ZenStyle probably bought himself 1 more turn of life, he now doesn't have the burn necessary to kill Puffin, so he's just kind of delaying the inevitable. With the addition of Dr. Boom here, Dr. Balanced, we've got kind of a nasty situation, plus it looks like Puffin is clearing the board yet again, like a master. Even if ZenStyle were to use a Flame Strike and completely wipe the board here, we end up with the problem where the boom bots would just explode in his face and kill him. Looks like he's got a Discover a Spell card. There's a Fireball that would have won it for him, an Echo of Medivh, or he chooses the Cone of Cold, and it looks like it's all over. He's gonna go ahead and fall on his own explosive sword in this case, hugs the boom bots, and survives! Nothing can stop me now! And there we have a little bit of a Echo of Medivh. And here Puffin's just strutting his stuff. He heals back to full, he drops everything he has, clears the board, showing off a little bit, and it looks like he will finish ZenStyle off with a light but decisive headshot. So there we have it, folks. Puffin has just taken the title. He will be winning this year's 2016 America's Winter Championship. So congratulations to you, Puffin, and congratulations to everyone. We had some really solid games between both Puffin and ZenStyle. Very strong players all around. But it seems like ZenStyle just went in a little too deep too early and wasn't able to quite salvage it and deal just enough damage to finish things off. As such, Puffin had some really solid plays, completely cleared the board beautifully time after time after time, and was able to just push this huge amount of damage like we expected right into ZenStyle's face from 25 down to 6 while improving his board state. Truly, truly amazing. That's all for this year. Puffin, we will see you next month at the Grand Final, sir. Thank you everyone for tuning in and playing with us, and we will catch you on the flip side.